Hey friends, Allison Ramirez here, Christian author, editor, and content creator, here today with my very first video of 2025. Woohoo, we made it! I am always really excited to do financial breakdown videos because I think as entrepreneurs, small business owners, people that do not work like your typical 9-to-5 job and they're trying to make a living or at least make some sort of a profit with the creative work they're doing, find it really interesting to hear about how much money others are actually making. Can you make a living doing this? Can this be a side income, side hustle that actually like contributes to your livelihood and isn't just for fun or like a passion project, that sort of thing? And so I am beginning, I'm going to be starting my, I'm so bad at math here. I'm going to be beginning my 5th year. Is that right? Yes, I will have completed 4 full years of being like a self-published author in April. Yes, because I started in 2021. April of 2021, that was when I was laid off from my full-time day job, and I said, you know what, I've always dreamed of being an author and a writer. I'm just gonna go all in. Yeah, that was back in April of 2021. So 21 to 22, 22 to 23, 23 to 24. Yeah, so in April of this year, I will have hit my four full years of this. That is so crazy. So you can look back on my channel. I have the financial breakdowns for 2021, my very first year doing this, 2022, 2023, and then now I'm filming my 2024 income of how much money did I make. It's actually so fascinating to keep track because I will say, I think every year I have made more money than the year before, which is obviously the goal, but doesn't always happen. I will say that my the profit that I made this year is definitely not livable in the sense of I have always had to have some other job. I have always had a full-time job up until this past August, where I actually resigned and stepped away from my full-time job, and most recently I've become a part-time job. So I'm like slowly like stepping back, if you will, from like the 9-to-5 work work domain. However, I still cannot completely, my husband and I, we cannot completely make a living with me just full in with my small business of book publishing and editing and that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's 4 years in. Who knows, 4 years from now, maybe things will look different. But that's where we're at right now. So what I like to do is I like to just tell you my gross and net profits, and I also like to break it down for you for each individual income stream that I have and how much I made. And I always compare with the year before just to kind of give you a general idea. All right, now for the moment, everyone wants to know how much money did I make? This is gonna be, I'm gonna start with my gross number and then I'm gonna tell you my net after deduction. So in 2024, my gross profit was $11,998.87. So basically I made $12,000 gross profit through all my small business things in 2024. Which is super exciting. I will say that's more than double what I had made the year before in 2023. Now in 2024, I had $2,263.96 of expenses that went into operating my business. So my net take-home number for 2024 was $9,734.91. So when it's all said and done, I made just under $10,000 of profit, which is so exciting. Obviously, I hit the two-digit mark there for income, which is super great. And I will say that if you want to know a little bit more about my expenses that I had, so comparatively, in 2023, the year before, my expenses were only $1,278, and they doubled this year. So you're probably wondering why so much more money? So some of the things that my expenses go to are my memberships. So I am part of a different writers communities online, such as the Catholic Writers Guild, the Fiat Self-Publishing Academy, and Legend Fiction. I also joined an editing community called Christian Editors Connection, and there was a fee to join that group. So I had several membership fees I had to pay. I also have to pay a yearly website fee to keep my domain up and running, as well as to renew my video editing software that I use for YouTube. What else? Oh, I also ventured into ads this past year, and I will say they were actually pretty successful, especially on Instagram. There's something where you can boost your posts and you can have like a daily budget on how much you want to spend, and the algorithm will boost your posts to people they think are similar to your current followers. So I also tried Catholic AdNet, so I'll just as a way to try to get some ads out there. So I spent money on that. I also had let's see, was it like 3 or 4 different covers designed in 2023, so I had to pay for cover design as well. And then a lot of, let's see, what other expenses did I have? Oh, I had to, when I joined Christian Editing Connection, I had to pay for several editing tests to make sure that my skills were up to par in order to join that community, so I had to pay for those tests. I also set up like my booth, so when I go to different events, I bought like a trolley cart to pull my boxes of books. I purchased a table, I had stands for my books, tablecloth, that sort of thing. And then finally at the end of 2024, I legally set up my small business, so I had to pay all those fees that go into like officially setting up a business. So that's a little bit about where my expenses came from. Obviously, you want to keep your expenses as low as you can. Obviously, like if I spent $2,000 and I made like $12,000, what is that? Like that's only like, I think that's less than like 20% of what I made. So I don't think my expenses were too bad considering my income, but I always want to try to keep those expenses as low as they can. So I'm hoping to keep them under $2,000 in 2025. We'll see how I do. Okay, now for the particular breakdown. So I will say, I think I mentioned my net income after all expenses was just under $10,000. The year before, in 2023, my net income was just under $5,000. So I actually doubled what I made. In 2024, I doubled what I made in 2023. So that is super exciting. I'm really thrilled about that. So now I'm going to go through each of the categories with you and tell you how much I made. So obviously my books is the biggest part of my small business. I have 3 books out to date. So on my book sales in 2024, I made $834.92. The year before, in 2023, I made $800.07. So pretty much the same in both years. And that was with 1 extra book published. So obviously I would have hoped to do a little bit better. It would have been nice to hit $1,000 profit, but all things considered, that's not too bad for 3 books. And then this year, my other writing. So this is like articles, blog posts, poems, short stories that I submit to different groups that they pay me for. These are like little like 1 to 3 page writing pieces. So this past year in 2024, I made $1,800, which is so crazy because the year before in 2023, I only made $225. So I made so much more money. And that's because I found a couple new groups that really paid quite a lot, because sometimes groups only pay you like $50 to $75 a piece. But I found some groups that were paying me like a few $100s even per article, which was so amazing and helped so much. And then editing. So editing was definitely where I made my most money in 2024. So I made $5,369.84. And I had 15 different editing projects that I worked on in 2024, which is really, really great. It was so much fun. I loved all the authors I worked with and all the different companies I worked with. And I'm so excited to continue working with new authors and hopefully new companies for editing in 2025. If you are interested and you need an editor, you can check out my editing videos, which I can link below, as well as check out my website that has all my rates and the sorts of editing I can provide. And then let's see, teaching. So I will say that as a disclaimer, this is going to be my last year where I include my teaching income as part of my small business, because since launching Trinity Tree Publishing this year, that small business only includes my books, my other writings, and my editing. Because I am hired by other like these outside teaching groups, I didn't think it made sense to include them in my small business. And so this will be my last year where you're going to hear how much I made teaching. So this year, well, I should say this past year in 2024, I made $3,994.11, so just under $4,000 teaching. The year before, in 2023, I actually made $5,233.95. So I made a tiny bit less in teaching in 2024 than I did in 2023. But as I mentioned, it'll be a moot point next year, because while I am still doing online teaching, I'm considering that part of my 9-to-5 income, not part of my small business income. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for tuning in. I will say my goal for this year of 2025 is I would like to make over $10,000 as net profit. $10,000 to $12,000, that'd be like a couple $1,000 increase. So that's definitely my goal. And again, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to live off this income. Most likely not, just because of how hard it is. And I'm living in a very expensive state. My husband and I live in Washington State, which is very expensive. Maybe if we moved to the Midwest or a cheaper area, it would be more doable. But I think I'm probably always going to have some sort of a part-time job elsewhere. But that's okay. You know, it just brings me joy to be able to do what I love, and to be able to write books and help other authors succeed as well, and bring their books to publication. So again, thanks for tuning in. Happy 2025, Happy New Year, and I wish you all the best. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.